Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Also hope you guys are excited about learning something very interesting, at least to me, in today's video. So what are we going to be talking about? Obviously in the title it says we're going to implement some MVC code architecture for our YouTube app series that we've been building out so far. So for those of you guys that have not seen the previous 3 videos, make sure to click down below in the description for the couple of links so that you can get caught up for today's lesson. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's talk about MVC. So I don't want to get into too much theory about MVC because it is confusing if you don't have very good code examples. But the idea behind MVC is these 3 types of concepts, and it's model, view, and controller. And so far in our YouTube app, in our project, we've implemented views and controllers, and all we're missing right now is this notion of a model object. And so a model object in our YouTube application will be a video as a model object and a channel also as a model object. So both of these concepts are like business objects that we can treat as part of the larger scope of our business model. Anyhow, having said that, we're going to go ahead and start implementing the basic idea of what MVC looks like. And I don't want to go into too much theory because it is a very confusing topic and it's very easy to understand once you see a working implementation of how it works. So let's go ahead and look at the Xcode screen here. And so this is the kind of completed project of what we are going to get to eventually. And here is the code that we left off on the 3rd video of this app series. And let's run the application and we get this screen right here. And I am going to do a few things before we start implementing MVC. And let's go back to our Photoshop diagram here. And the last video, we implemented this menu bar here, but we kind of neglected, or actually I neglected, to implement these 2 top right nav bar buttons. And because it's quite easy to do, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to implement these 2 bar buttons on the very top. So let's go to home controller right here. Let's go to view to load, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of this function. I'm going to create a function called setup nav bar buttons, probably. Yeah, seems to make sense. So let's create a function down here, set up nav bar buttons, and then we'll set up the code here. So how do we set up this magnifying glass right there? Well, it's actually very easy, and we start by implementing or inserting an asset into this catalog file, and I'm going to call it, let's see, where are we at? Search. Okay, search icon and nav more icon. Just drag that in there. And we have these 2 icons that represent those 2 buttons. I'm going to go back to home controller. And here is how we actually set up a button. We simply say navigation item, right bar button. So this expects an array of buttons. And if we just create a search bar button item right there, we can just say UR bar button item, and we use this image constructor here. And so what is this image? Well, this image will be this search image here with UI image like that, named search icon. I believe that asset is called. And then here we'll say search image. This looks a little weird. Let's see. UR bar button item. Let's see, image. I actually want this second one with the style. Okay. So this will say search image. This will say plain, and target will be self, and selector will be the selector here that I'm just going to create in just a bit called handle search. So I want to cut this entire thing and paste it right here. Hopefully that's not too confusing. And what I'm missing now is this function called handle search that actually gets executed immediately upon touching the button. So here I am finally going to say search bar button, and let's run the application now, and then you'll see the the top right nav bar will contain this little magnifying glass, and it prints 1, 2, 3, which is on line 43. So everything's working with the exception of the coloring of the image. And we fixed that by going back to search image and just type in image with rendering mode. And this will say always original. And then we'll run that one more time, and the icon will be white, like what we would expect. Okay, now I'm going to do this rather quickly for the more button here. So let's see here. So let's say let more button equals UI bar button item image with the style. Image is this image named, I called it nav more icon. Hopefully that's correct. This will be self, and selector will be selector, let's say handle more. Like that. And then we'll create a function called handle more. And then in here, we'll insert the button. So I believe it needs to be in the front of the search bar button item. It's always a little confusing where it should be. So you see that button appears over there, but it actually has to be on the left of the search button. So hopefully you guys get that correct. And in here, I'm going to say image with rendering mode, always original. Run this guy one more time, and then we'll have the settings button on the very top right as this 3 dotted vertical line. All right, how am I doing? Okay. So now that we have that finished, let's go ahead and start implementing the MVC architecture, or continue augmenting our project to include this model group here. Let's just say model. And in here, I'm going to create our very first model file called, let's see, a Swift file. Let's call it video. And let's just hit enter there. Hopefully that'll be okay. And here we'll say import UI kit, just so I can get access to this NS object guy right here. I think yeah. Let's see. So the first thing we need to do is create this model object called video, and then we'll subclass it as an NS object. And so the idea is we want to create a model object called video that represents this entire cell here, and then it will actually represent every one of these cells. Or basically, we want to create an object that kind of tells the view, the cell view, what to render. For example, the thumbnail image name, the title, and the subtitle here, and also this channel or this user's profile image. All right, now let's start coding, why don't we? And the very first thing we want to do is create a variable called thumbnail. Let's see, thumbnail image name like this, and then it'll be a string with a question mark for an optional. And let's also create a title string right here. And let's see. Okay, so that's pretty good for now. And here's what we want to do. Now that we have this video object, we want to go back to home controller, and we want to create an array of videos for our home controller. So let's just call it var videos equals a video, an array of video types like that. And then what do we want to do? So I'm going to set it equal to this block of code here, and then we can just return a set of videos like this. So I'm going to create this very first video that represents Taylor Swift blank space, and I'm going to call it blank space video. That's actually the name of her music video, and I'm going to create it as a new video object like this. And blank space video's title will be, let's see, Taylor, capital T, Taylor Swift, like that. And let's see, get an extra space here, dash blank space. And then we want to return, let's see, an array of videos. So this will be blank space video, like that. And let me get the spacing correct here. Okay. And let's see, the thumbnail image name will be whatever we set it as in our assets, which is actually this Taylor Swift blank space file. And then we'll say blank space video thumbnail image name equals Taylor Swift blank space, like that. And now we can modify our code so that we can represent each one of these cells as this videos array. So how do we actually do that? Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to go into this number of items in section, and we actually want to return videos.count, like that. So we only have one video in our array right now, and inside of self or item at index path, we want to do two things here. So this cell object dequeued using cell ID, we know that that is a video cell. So let's see. So in here, we registered that video cell class under the cell ID. And so here we can actually downcast this from a UI collection view cell to a video cell directly, like that. And the idea is I want to set this video object on cell, or this video cell here. And I want to actually say it is videos, let's see, index path.item, which gets this very first object from the videos array. And I want to set video on, set video equal to the item, but we can't do that right now because video cell right here, so I'm going to video cell, it doesn't have a property called a video on it. So I'm going to create that property called video and just do that and put an optional right there. I'm going to build now and go back right there. And so now everything is kind of working, right? So I'm gonna run this application now. And what you're gonna see is we're gonna get only one cell that has nothing changed so far, but we have one cell only because we only have one video inside of this array. So if I create another video, and I'm going to create this Bad Blood featuring Kendrick Lamar video, and I'm going to call it Bad Blood video equal new video, like that. And we'll set this title equal to Taylor Swift Bad Blood featuring Kendrick Lamar. And we'll also set the thumbnail image to something. So Bad Blood video thumbnail image equals something. And I don't believe we've inserted the Bad Blood image into our assets. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab Bad Blood right here. So I'm gonna grab that there, drag in there, and we get this guy here. Looks like that. And let's see, I'm just gonna copy that, and inside of thumbnail image name, we'll set it to that, and I think we're good for now. And in here, we'll say Bad Blood video. And run this guy one more time. So you're not going to see anything change, but instead we have two cells instead of one. So right there and right there. And now we are kind of ready to go back to our video cell and start implementing what will happen when we set this video inside of that cell. So with Swift, you can actually type in a brace there and then type did set. And every time a video gets set on that cell, we can execute some code right here. And so what I mean is I'm going to simply do this here. Title label dot text equals video. Let's see, video. Let's get this video object here. Dot title right there. Let's just run this application to see what will happen to each one of these cells. So you see how this title is still blank space, and the title for the second cell is now saying Bad Blood featuring Kendrick Lamar, because that's the second video inside of the array. Now to make this more obvious, I am going to actually change the image view now for each one of these cells. And I'm going to say thumbnail image view dot image equal UI image, and this has to be the video's thumbnail image name, like that. And however, you see this little error message here. Let's double click the fix and run the application now. And perhaps I'll show a better way of doing this, but essentially, that's how you would get the collection view to reflect your model objects that you've created to back the entire application. So that looks pretty good. I think that looks pretty good. And I want to fix this user profile image to actually be included inside of this video object as well. But here's the tricky part, right? We can actually include multiple model objects inside of our project, and usually you would see this in another file, but just for convenience, we'll create it here. And the second model object I'll create is this channel object. So YouTube works like this, right? You have a ton of channels on YouTube, and each one of those channels contain many, many videos inside of those channels. And so this channel will be this NS object again. And in here, we'll have the channel name, just like that, as a string. And we also have, let's say, the profile image name of that channel, which is also a string like that. And so the way I'm going to model this project is to actually include a var here and a channel object that is kind of the owner of this video. So video has a relationship with channel such that the video knows who owns the video, or the video knows which channel it belongs to, essentially. Right. So let's go back to our home controller here and include that extra bit of information for our channel, or for our videos. So I'm going to create this channel up here called channel, and let's just call this, I don't know, let's say Kanye channel, because we all know how much Taylor Swift likes Kanye. And let's see, instead of video, we'll call it channel, like that. Let's build a project so I can get these auto completions. So Kanye channel name equals Kanye is the best channel, something like that. And Kanye channel dot profile image name equals something. And just so I can show you guys that this image will change, I'm going to drag in this Kanye profile image right there. And I'm going to go back to my assets right here, drag in this Kanye profile, and that's his very nice smirky image, and set that to Kanye profile is what the image is called. And now I can set up these blank space video that channel equals Kanye channel. And this will also be bad blood video that channel equals Kanye channel, like that. And run this application now, and nothing is going to change because we haven't handled the profile image down here whenever we set this video. So let's go ahead and do that. And if we do this right here, so user profile image view is what that image view is called. So that image equals UI image named something, and this will be video dot channel dot profile image name. So let's fix this by clicking there and then running that. We'll see the profile image name will change to that Kanye smirky file right there. So that's pretty good. And how am I doing on time here? All right. Now, what do we want to do? Well, I don't actually like the way that this is actually potentially going to crash with this this bang operator here. So I'm going to show you a safer way of doing this. So we can just say if let profile image name equals video dot profile, let's see, channel profile image name equal that. We can actually say this right here, user profile image view image equals UI image image named profile image name, like that, and get rid of this code. And what this does instead of the previous line is it avoids the potential crash that will occur if any of these objects are nil. And we get our very clean code. You can apply the same logic here, but in the interest of time, let's just skip that for now. All right, so let's also change this subtitle here to reflect this Kanye channel name. And what I mean is I can actually do this here. I can say subtitle text view, which is this subtitle text view here. It represents this gray subtitle down there. And I'm saying subtitle text view dot text equals something. So what is this something? If I can call it video channel dot let's see, name, I think. Okay. And with that being set, we now have the channel's name down here, and we actually have to include a couple of other bits of information for the video itself. So the first thing is this number of views, and then we have the upload date as well, and that belongs to the video object. In other words, I'll create a var number of views, and this will be an NS number like that, and we have var perhaps upload date as an NS date object here. I'm going to build and go back to home controller, and inside of this block of code I can just say blank space video dot number of views equals some arbitrary large number right there, and here we'll say bad blood video number of views equals something else that's arbitrarily large. And now we can go back to video cell and implement this string that represents all of the information that belongs in the subtitle text. And I'm going to do that right here like this. Okay. So what we're going to do is use string interpolation, and we're just going to say let subtitle text equals this thing here. And in here I can say video dot channel dot name, and then here we have that bullet point which I'll represent. Let's see if I can grab it. Okay, let's grab this bullet here, and then in here I'll just put the bullet point, and then we need to do this right here, video dot number of views, and then we have that bullet point again, and then perhaps 2 years ago. So let's run this guy one more time and see what we get. I don't think we see any change yet, because obviously I haven't changed the text to reflect the subtitle text here, that there. And now the text will somewhat look like the appropriate subtitle, but you see all these optionals right there. So it says optional, Kanye, blah, blah, blah. And we get rid of the optionals by safely unwrapping the actual text. So what I mean is, let's just grab this guy out here, because I think it's better if we do it here. So here's the code, and we can if let, let's see, channel name equals video channel dot name, and let's just do that right there. And we can also unwrap the number of views by doing this. So we'll call this number of views equals video number of views, like that. And we can just cut this entire bit, paste it in there, and here we'll say channel name, and in here we'll just get rid of that, use this number of views there, and then we'll just run this guy one more time. The optionals inside of that bit of string will now be safely replaced with the appropriate text. All right, so let's blow this up just a little bit larger. And the next issue I want to point out is that this number right here is not properly formatted with commas, as you would expect inside of perhaps American English. I think numbers are represented a little bit differently across the world, but I'm going to show you how to put in commas inside of this string here so that we see the proper text. I guess the proper American text is the politically correct way of saying that. Anyhow, I'm going to actually create this number formatter right here, just so I can get those commas inside of that text. And number formatter has to have a number style like this, and this will be decimal style. And in here, we'll do this. Okay, I'm going to cut this out, and we're going to say number formatter, string for number right there, number of views, and we actually have to unwrap it with this bang operator. Otherwise, we'll get the optional version of this text. So having done that, we're going to, let me just bump the values up a little bit higher inside of here. So I'm going to add in a couple of numbers there and run that guy one more time, drag this in here, make it a little bit larger so we can see what the commas actually say. So the commas look pretty good. It actually it wraps around onto the next line. And okay, it seems like I have a little bit more time to talk about something else that's very interesting. And that is this bit of text right here. So notice how we have Taylor Swift, Bad Blood featuring Kendrick Lamar being cut off by these 3 ellipses on the very end. And this looks okay on the very top. So let's kind of look at what the fix should be. So we have this bit of text. It actually wraps around cleanly and has proper spacing. And here it actually is only one line, right? So how do we decide if we want one line versus 2 lines? Well, we actually have to measure the sizing of the text based on the width of the view of the cell. And that's actually not as hard as you would expect. So let's get a water break here. Oh, all right. So let's see how we want to do that right here. Let's bring back the simulator and let's shrink it back here. And let's start looking at what we need to actually access to determine the size of this string here. Okay. Okay. So here is the idea. So if we go back down to setup views, where we set up all of these views inside of this video cell, and we take a look at this height constraint here. We have this constraint for this title label, which is this title label here and this title label here. And we have this constant here that says 20. So if I bump this up to, let's see, 44 right there, and run this application again, let's just see what happens inside of this cell here. So this entire label expanded in size, and I want to actually go back to title label up here. And for this label that we're creating, we'll set number of lines equals 2. And that'll enable the label to wrap around and then show the remaining text right here. So this looks really off now, right? The top one. And the idea is I want to actually capture this constraint and modify it based on the estimated sizing of the text. So here's how we do that, right? So above this set of views, I'm going to create a variable called title label height constraint up here. And this will be a type NS layout constraint with an optional right there. And then I will just simply go down here into this height constraint. I'm going to cut this entire bit, and I'm going to say title constraint. Let's see it there, right there, equals this guy right here. I'm going to add this title label constraint. We actually have to unwrap it like that. And if we run this, everything looks the same. And now we can actually modify this height constraint based on the cell text. Or more accurately, based on the title or the video titles text. So how do we do that? Let me see if I can do that really quickly right here. So I'm going to go back down to video and did set. At the very bottom, I'm going to measure the title text like this. I'm going to say, let's see. So let rect or estimated rect equal this thing right here. So I am, let's see, I am going to safely do this. So if let video title equals video.title, perhaps this can just be title. Make it a little bit shorter, and estimated rect will be this. In here, I'm going to use NSString. String is this title that we just unwrapped like this, and we'll call bounding rect with size. And so we have a couple of options here. I'm just going to quickly fill out. So size is equal to something. So CG size make right here, and the size is actually the entire width of this title label, which is starting from this T here and ends at the right edge of this thumbnail. So basically, the width will be frame dot width right there, and we subtract the 16 here, so minus 16, and then this image is actually 44 pixels like we specified right here. So this is 44, so we subtract the 44 like that, and then we subtract this 8 pixel that is between here and here, and then we subtract another 16, which is on the right over here. And then the height is easier. We just arbitrarily set it as something very large, and we have our size right here. And then options is pretty wonky, but essentially it's NSString drawing options that uses font leading union with this uses line fragment origin. Pretty confusing, but that's what it is. And then let's see, attributes is actually what the font is actually using. So it's UI font, system font of size, I believe it's 14, context will be nil. So this gives us the estimated rect for the size of this entire text. And let's see what I can do here. So I don't want to go into too much detail on how this works, but basically if estimated rect.size.height is greater than 20, we'll say title label height constraint is, let's see, dot constant equals, let's see, 44. Otherwise, we'll just say else this thing equals, I believe, 20. So let's see what that gives us in the simulator here. Remember, all we're doing is trying to measure the title label right there. So this title label is now height of 20, and this title label is now height of 44. So that looks pretty good. And now something that I want to fix is this little bit that's being cut off down here. And I want to actually increase the cell size of each one of these cells, right? And the way that the cell sizes are determined is inside of home controller. And if you go down here to size for item index path, we calculate the height right here, and then we add 68 pixels for this bottom part, which is what we originally thought to be 68, plus this 16 right here. So it's 16 on top and 68 for all of this stuff on the bottom. So the question is, where does that 68 come from? And 68 is the addition of 8, 44, and 16. So to make this easier, I am going to add 12 pixels to 16. And so I'm going to put 28 there. And here I'm going to add 12 to the 68 and run that to see what we get. And so obviously this is not my first time doing this addition here. And it gets us closer to where we want to be. And so I'm going to add a couple more pixels. Let's see, add 8 more pixels to that. And I'm going to add 8 more pixels to that, so 36. And then run that one last time to see what we get. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better. We can actually modify this to get a little bit more space down here, but it looks good for now. Okay, not too bad actually. I guess one thing I want to mention about this constraint is basically we have this 16 up here, which is this 16, and then the thumbnail image view, and then 8 pixel gap right here. And then we have this 44 for this vertical image view. And then we have this 36 down here, and then the 1 represents that line. So that's essentially how the constraints work if you've kind of forgotten how this was laid out in the very first video. Okay, pretty good. Let's just blow this up to the center right here. And that is how we have started the implementation of MVC in this video. Now, the idea behind MVC is to enable you to integrate something such as a REST service that represents your data in the real world. So what I mean is I'm going to, tab back into this demo thing here. And so these are all just assets inside of my assets catalog in my demo project. And I'm going to execute some bit of code and run it inside of my project off screen. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually execute a fetch request that hits a REST API. And then it actually downloads all of these images through a JSON file inside of the API. And so here's what the API looks like. You gotta bring that up here. And so I'm going to drag this Chrome browser up here. And here is the JSON that we're going to be downloading in the next video. And I'm going to show you guys how to integrate a REST API using JSON and also using the model objects that we just created so that you can introduce something that we call a dynamic feed inside of your application. So kind of like Facebook and YouTube itself, it uses something that's kind of tailored to your user login and all the channels that you're subscribed to and kind of your history of browsing videos inside of YouTube. So that's actually a really, really fun topic. I hope you guys are excited about that. And with that being said, it kind of wraps up the video for today. Make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe if you're interested in the future updates to this series here. So enjoy coding and hope you guys have a good day. Oh yeah, one more thing. Link down below will be available to download the project that we just coded out. And that's about it. Have a good day. Bye.